He believes in the power of manifestation.
That's fine. I think he was maybe Jair Alexander was not talking about them losing next week. He asked, are you worried about the defense? He said, no, I'll only be worried if we lose next week. So I think it was a bit of a game of telephone.
I put it in the universe.
That's
I put it in the universe.
Don't put it in the universe. Like, you might walk away from football multiple times. Maybe put that in the universe and leads to the worst season. Who knows?
Fair point.
Greg, I'm real worried about the Packers. Okay, the reason, listen, Brew and Wildes both got their upset alerts last week. Brew had the Cowboys, Wildes had the Packers. The Giants. The reason that this one kind of stands out a bit more is this is the single biggest point spread upset in the league this year. This is the biggest underdog to win. The Giants beating the Packers, and it wasn't like, well, it was some weird London game. Packers were sleepy coming. They were up 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
You were up 2 touchdowns to a Daniel Jones quarterback team, and you lost. Coming off a week that should have been your wake-up call when you almost lost old Zapp'em and the Patriots. And so, yeah, I know you're so happy about that. Moral victory, which led to an actual victory. They played 5 games. That is 30% of the season. They've been impressive 0 times. Now they have that in common with the defending Super Bowl champion Rams, but at least the Rams have a ring, from last year to fall back on. They easily could be 1-4. That's not an exaggeration to say, well, the Bucs game came down to a 2-point conversion, and the Patriots game was literally in overtime, and they won them both. So this team could easily be 1-4. We have said, well, they're going to have this defense to lean on. Defense has not been that good. And that's not on Aaron. But here is what's on Aaron. He's 20th in yards per attempt. He's 15th in total yards. He's 9th in touchdowns. He's 9th in passer rating. Those are fine numbers. The Packers' path is not with the quarterback being fine. The Packers' path is with the quarterback being a league MVP. You add to that Matt LaFleur has not paid the $299 to go to my coaching clock seminar. And so because of that, we're doing great. We could have used his money and he could have used it to not blow the clock at the end of the first half. Brandon Staley skipped the last week. Brandon Staley thought he knew everything he needed to know and he skipped out on it. So all that, Greg, here's the thing that I know. If the Packers' idea is we're going to win with our defense, of the NFC contenders, Dallas has a better defense.
True.
Tampa has a better defense.
Yep.
San Francisco has a better defense. The undefeated team nobody talks about, Philly, they have a better defense. So you're not going to win with your defense. Defense is fine. Not going to win with it. You're going to win if Rodgers is awesome. And Rodgers is yet to be awesome this year. So, yeah, I'm really, really worried about the Packers, Greg.
I'm not worried about them, but there's room for concern because of what you're saying. When you think about the Packers, you don't think about – I don't care how good their defense is supposed to be. I don't care how good their defense has shown over the course of this season, early in the season. You know if that offense doesn't get going, you don't really believe that they have a chance.
True.
And so that, for me, poses the concern because this young offense in London – defensively, watching that game, when you saw the Giants line up, they had no one, and this is no disrespect to those guys that were out there available, but all you had to do defensively is stop Saquon.
Right.
The only thing.
And I saw their first possession, they line up, and I'm thinking to myself, this is about to be the easiest defensive game for the Green Bay Packers, and it turned out to be one of their worst. And so that poses a bit of a concern, but for me, I don't see this development of the young receivers happening. I thought that after last week, seeing Romeo Doubs, getting some opportunities, having some success, that was going to literally progress in this week's game. It did not. Instead, you go to Randall Cobb, who played great. But that's not the key to your success. If these young guys don't earn the trust and the confidence in Aaron Rodgers, that's where the concern is. I'm not concerned about Aaron and his numbers because he doesn't have what he's accustomed to having. I believe he can still be special. However, because of their losing and he's not special and their offense does not look good and their defense we all expected them to be one of the top 5 defenses in all the National Football League, and they are not right now. That leaves room for concern. However, they have time to figure it out because this division, no one's running away from it.
Look, when I picked them in the preseason to reach the Super Bowl, I firmly expected them to lose 6 games. So I think, look, they're obviously on pace to lose about 6 games, all right? So I'm not panicking yet. Now, like Alexander said, if they lose to the Jets, then you got to be like, Yeah, Giants are 4-1, and I know it might be a
Jets are
fugazi
3-2.
4-1, but still, if they lose to the Jets, that's a problem. However, you hit it on the head, Greg. The problem is Rodgers doesn't have weapons. You mentioned the Giants not scaring anybody on the outside. The Packers aren't scaring anybody. And I thought these young guys, Christian Watson seems to be almost off the radar, right? Dobbs is the young guy that they're looking to. But right now, Randall Cobb's been their number one receiver. He can't be your number one receiver.
No.
They haven't spent any money on receivers. They're the only team in the league that doesn't have a receiver or a tight end making $4 million a year or more than $4 million a year. So here's what I say for the Packers.
Dust off
Do
Mercedes
it
Lewis.
now. Go sign OBJ. Now. No, I know other teams want him. But
you're
you get
saying
ahead
do
of
it.
the curve and give him a
Start
contract
paying him
now.
before
Great
he can
take.
even get
Yes, so you lock him up. He gets to play with one of the best quarterbacks ever. You don't think he would? That's a smart thing?
I'm not saying that is not a smart thing. I think it could help, but him coming off of back-to-back injuries in a new system, even though it's a great quarterback, it still would take a little bit of time.
Sure.
So, but here's the thing, Greg. This is why I picked the upset alert. Watch Packers, Patriots. And Aaron's starting to throw those long balls. And the first one I got nervous. Second one I got nervous. Third one I'm like, oh, he's with us. We're good. So
No, he's
he
not
missed
hitting them.
five of 6 deep balls. He missed. So I'm like, oh, we got to get trust with the receivers. Like, what are you doing? Going to a karaoke bar? What are you going to a ropes course? Hang out with you? Like, what are you doing? Doing one of those rooms we get locked in and work together? That's not going to happen. There's going to be no chemistry in 1 week, especially going over to London. Let's see what happened against the Giants. Oh, surprise, surprise! See all those white dots? 0 for 6 on these long passes. So I just didn't think any chemistry was going to be developed in a week. Like, he's not the same guy. There feels like to
You
me.
think it's him?
I feels like there are 2 fake Aaron Rodgers out there. One is the German fellow who was sitting in the stands. The other one's on the field. Neither of them look like the Aaron Rodgers from 2 years ago.
So I've got a theory on that.
Let's
if I
hear
may.
it.
So remember last year, the 6 weeks where Mahomes struggled?
Yeah.
And it was everyone's playing this too high shell. Mm-hmm. And then the league realized this offseason, holy moly, that made Patrick Mahomes look mortal for a bit. What if we start doing that across the league? And if you're watching, when Brady said it's a lot of bad football, what we're seeing is a lot of teams playing this too high shell, daring teams to run the ball, daring teams to take the short intermediate stuff, and saying what's not going to happen is you're going to kick our head in by going over the top. And what you are seeing this year is the quarterbacks that can't, other than Mahomes and Allen, that don't also have the dynamic of, okay, you're going to do that, I'll take off and run, the way Lamar can, the way Geno has at times, and Geno, they're playing a little bit differently. Those guys, a lot of them, Stafford, Brady, Rodgers, a lot of the guys, Burrow, Herbert earlier, that we expected to be awesome, they are struggling with it, similarly to how Mahomes struggled with it last year. And I think it's taken, Collinsworth has talked about this a lot, and it's what I'm seeing where Rodgers, first of all, was seeing different coverages, second of all, had Devontae Adams there. Now it's got neither, and it's like when things break down, he takes a deep shot, and a lot of them are going flat out of bounds. It's not even just chemistry. He's just missing them out of bounds.
So for me, the Packers have to insert Aaron Jones a little bit more in their offense. When I'm not talking about the running game. He has to be influential in the passing game. He is that dynamic of a player. If you don't have the receivers or the skill guys, the chemistry, we can't say, there's no rapport, there's no chemistry with Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones. We can't have that excuse. He's available. We saw what Saquon is doing for the Giants. We see what Dalvin Cook does, CMC. Aaron Jones can provide this to you, but we don't see that because they're trying to split time between he and A.J. Dillon. They got to give him the ball more.
Okay, I like that.
6 yards per carry, too, in the run game.
Yeah.
It's the same carry.
Right.
Pretty good. Hey, coming up next. Uh-oh.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.